there, wise woman. Have you ever felt like you're doing all the right things in your faith, but something still feels a little bit off? You've tried to be consistent, you've tried new routines, you've followed plans that seem to work for everybody else, but somewhere along the way, they start to feel forced. Like you're going through some kind of motions, you're checking off the boxes, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but not actually feeling connected to God. And then comes the thought that you don't always want to say out loud. Why does this seem to work for everyone else, but not for me? And if you've ever felt like that, I want you to know that you're not alone. Because most of the women that I work with, that I talk with, they are not lacking any kind of discipline. They're not being inconsistent. They're not less committed to God. Actually, they're doing quite a lot. And the issue is not the effort that they're trying to put in. What if it isn't about trying harder? What if it's not about trying to be more consistent or finally trying to find that perfect routine so that it's going to fit for you? What if you've been trying to grow your faith in a way that really actually doesn't fit the way that God designed you? Because most faith advice, well, what it does is it actually works like a system. Follow this, do this, stay consistent with this. But really, your faith was never meant to be this one size fits all. And this is something that I have watched women struggle with over and over again, trying to do more, trying to stay more consistent, and still feeling disconnected. I'm Deneen TB, and I help driven Christian women grow in a way that actually fits their life so that their faith isn't something that they're trying to keep up with. It's actually something that they're living from. And there are really 4 ways that people naturally connect to God. And when you understand which one is natural for you, then everything is going to start to shift. Not because you're doing more, but because you're doing what finally fits for you. So as I walk through these, I just want you to notice what feels familiar. Which one can you say, yeah, I think that's me? Not what you think you should be doing. That's the important thing, but what you actually feels like you. The first person that we're going to talk about is the heart person. When faith feels personal, but it's hard to sustain. Because you know what? You connect with God through relationship. You feel closest to Him when it feels personal, when your heart is engaged and there's like that sense of connection. Maybe it's through worship or quiet reflection or just moments where you just feel His presence with you. But when you try to follow those structured routines, read this, write this, check this off, you starts to feel mechanical to you. Like you're doing everything, quote, right, but something still feels missing. And then you start to wonder, well, why can't I stay consistent with this? Why does it feel dry when it seems to work for others? You may be a heart person. If you're a soul person, this is when you crave depth, but routines can actually feel limiting. So what happens here? If you're a soul person, you connect to God through meaning, through beauty, through moments that really feel significant to you. And you might feel closest to God when you're in nature or having a meaningful conversation or when something just really stirs inside your spirit very deeply. There's a sense of depth. That's what you're drawn to as a soul person. And when you try to follow the rigid systems, step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this, then it can feel really limiting to you. Almost like it's taking up something that should be alive, but it feels more mechanical, like you're putting it into a box. And over time, you might find yourself drifting, not because you don't care, but because what you're doing, it doesn't feel meaningful anymore. Now, if you're a mind person, this is when You want understanding, but your faith feels surface level. So you connect to God through that understanding, that deep understanding. You want to know what scripture actually means. You want that depth. You want the clarity. You want the truth. And you love learning. You love studying and seeing how all the things connect. But when your faith is mostly centered on emotion, or just surface level encouragement, it can start to feel really shallow, like you're not really growing. You're just repeating what other people said, what you have already learned, and it's all up here, right? And you may not say this aloud, but there's a part of you that's thinking, I really do need more than this. And then, of course, there's the strength person. This is when you feel alive in action, but you can be stuck in stillness. So a strength person connects to God through their actions, through what they are doing. They feel closest to Him when they're doing something that matters. They're serving someone, they're building something, they're helping, they're leading, they're showing up in a real tangible way. That's when a strength person's faith feels the most alive. But sitting for long periods of times and being still, and trying to force a quiet time that feels really disconnected from action, that is the most frustrating thing for a strength person. It's hard to maintain. And eventually, if you're a strength person, you might stop altogether. Not because your faith isn't important to you, but because the way that you've been told to do it doesn't work for how you're wired. Now, here's what most people don't realize. Most of the faith advice that we've been given was probably designed for one of these ways of connecting, not all of them. So if you've been trying to follow another method or that doesn't really match how God designed you, of course it's going to feel hard. Of course, it won't stick. You won't want to be consistent. You won't feel that you can be consistent. And that was never meant to happen. It doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that the method just doesn't match up with your design. And when your faith aligns with God and how He designs you, you really do connect with Him. And when you can do that, everything actually changes. It stops feeling like you're trying to just keep up. And what happens is it starts to become something that you can actually live from, something that fits into your real life instead of competing with it for time and attention. So if you're starting to see yourself in one of these, and if you're wondering, which one am I actually? What is natural for me? My best way to connect to God? I did create something for you that I call the Faith Shape Quiz. It's down in the description and you can take it. And what it's going to do, it's going to show you how you're uniquely designed to grow spiritually so that you can stop guessing if you're a heart, soul, mind, or strength person. And you can really start building a faith rhythm that actually fits who you are and fits your life. I'm going to link it below, like I said, in the description. When you take it, I'd love to know what you discover, because this might be the moment when your faith finally starts to actually make sense again. So let me know in the comments, which one feels most like you from the description that I gave. Are you a heart person, a soul person, a mind person, or a strength person? Take the quiz and see if you're right. This is Deneen TV. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, be filled to overflowing.